Good afternoon, Champlain College Wave Riders, and welcome to the Wave Podcast. My name is Kimberly Quinn. I'm your hostess with the mostest, and today I think I'd like to talk about worthiness as a practice. Why knowing your value is priceless. We've just got it's where it all starts, I'm telling you right now. Without the feeling of worthiness, nothing else is smooth. We got to really kind of know our own value. So that's what today's talk is about. So really, when it comes to personal growth and making positive changes, it seems that we often focus on the externals. You know, we say things to ourselves such as, I should really go to the gym more, eat more veggies, or start saving money and learn to set boundaries. It does not seem to be nearly as intuitive for us to take a look at why it might be difficult for us to take care of ourselves, why it may be so much easier to take care of others, and why we are looking for our good feels to come from alcohol, shopping, people-pleasing, or an addiction to a packed schedule. We cannot take care of a self we do not value. We're talking about, unworthiness is the root of people-pleasing, rescuing, and burnout. We often, are giving out more than we really have to give. And we continue to do this as if there's some kind of purple heart waiting for us to prove to the world that we are willing to run ourselves into the ground for external approval. However, we are not always aware that the craving for external approval and the compulsive need to swoop in and meet the needs of others before ourselves come from a lack of feeling worthy. It is also important to distinguish between mindful giving and mindless giving. Mindful giving is authentic and rejuvenating, whereas mindless giving is driven by the ego's need for approval and appreciation. This leaves us feeling depleted and may even lead to resentment. So basically we're saying, you know if you're mindfully giving authentically by how you feel. You feel good about that conversation with the best friend that woke you up, but his heart was breaking or whatever. And you feel after somebody's asked you to bake brownies for the 5th time for PTO, and you say, yes, 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 yes. Nobody's appreciating you, and you start to get pissed. That's what we're talking about. Mindful giving versus mindless giving. So mindless giving reminds me of the children's book. It's so funny because anybody who knows me knows how much I despise the book The Giving Tree by Shel Silverstein. So in case any of you aren't aware of this book, this is a story about a tree and a little boy. And as the boy grows up, he continues to ask the tree for her to give to him in various ways. First, it's her shade. Then it's the branches to build a house. Then he asks her for her apples to sell for money because he wants to go make money in the city. And then with his last ask being a request to cut down her trunk to make some kind of boat. Finally, when the little boy grew into a tired old man, he approached the tree one last time, telling her he needed a quiet place to sit and rest. I'm just getting irked reading this anyway because this book drives me so crazy. As the tree had given the man everything she had, all that was left was a stump. So the tree responded, well, an old stump is good for sitting and resting. Come, boy, sit down. Sit down and rest. The old man sat on the stump, and the book ends with, and the tree was happy. Like, seriously? She's a stump. The book's title would be far more descriptive if it said something like, codependency for kids. That's really what we're talking about. No one should aspire to become a stump. The characteristics of burnout, like the stump, obviously, that's burnout, and the symptoms of depression are not much different. Loss of interest in things. I used to care, now I don't. They're not much different. All right, we teach people how to treat us. Like it or not, we are walking balls of energy, sending out messages all day by what we put out there. If you've ever noticed someone walk into the room who is oozing with authentic confidence, most often heads turn and people listen. The opposite is also true when one is not feeling worthy. Unworthiness presents insecure and needy energy, which people also pick up on rather quickly and unconsciously configure these messages into their own programming to evaluate the interaction. There's a spectrum of doormat vibes to respect me vibes, and they're trying to figure out where you land on this spectrum and how they should treat you. The sobering truth is, if you don't treat yourself well, no one else will either. It all comes down to worthiness. A common example of this is a dating relationship where when one partner is mistreated by the other. She breaks up with them, and then lo and behold, a new partner shows up wearing a different outfit. This will continue indefinitely until she does the inner work of worthiness practice. So it's interesting because people don't often think of, sort of the concept of you can practice feeling worthy. Of course you can. You can practice doing anything. And, whatever we practice, whether it's playing soccer, playing the violin, cooking, robbing banks, whatever we practice, we inevitably get good at. So if we practice or look at worthiness as a practice, of course we're going to do nothing but improve. It's just how it works. So I have some tips and party tricks here to do that. So the first one is drop the stigma. The first thing to do is let go of thoughts of self-care as being selfish, or label it as your new selfish, which is healthy and full of value. Hashtag self-care is not selfish. The second one is start a gratitude journal. I'm a huge fan of this in general anyway, and do it every day of my life. So each day after you wake up and before anything else, other than making that essential cup of coffee or tea, jot down 3 things you are grateful for. These must include the words, I am grateful for, and then fill in the rest. After about 21 days, you'll notice a difference, as this is the approximate time it takes for a habit to shift and stick. And that would be from Charles Duhigg's work with The Power of Habit. Gratitude, here's the thing, here is the sentence. Gratitude is the master key to happiness. Okay, and thirdly, I have here to do your mirror work. While you are already on the gratitude track, step in front of the mirror daily. Look yourself in the eyes and tell yourself, I love you. Go for the gold. And then fourth, I have set the bar for doing your best. This is important in general, as doing our best is all we can ask of ourselves or do on any given day. If you were doing well with your worthiness practice and then find yourself sliding into a moment of self-deprecation, show yourself some kindness and patience. Breathe deeply and start your day over no matter what time it is. The fifth one is be present as much as possible. To strengthen our inner lives by becoming acquainted with our authentic selves, we need to be present at the moment. So for the fifth one, I have be present as much as possible. To strengthen our inner lives by becoming acquainted with our authentic selves, we need to be present in that moment. This is how we become aware of old unhealthy patterns of thinking and the emotions attached to the thoughts. People don't always realize that. When they dip into the past and they bring up some memory, they're not usually reliving some award they got. It's usually negative, right? They bring up that memory. They're not realizing that there is emotion attached to it, kind of like a barnacle attaches to a dolphin. It's not just the memory you're bringing back. If you were nervous doing a presentation, you were angry, you were guilty, you're resentful, shameful, whatever it is, you're bringing that whole thing back. So you're in that from 2012 again now. Not a good thing to do. Okay, number 6, clear out the junk. Being present brings us awareness, which only gets better. As we begin to become more aware of old patterns clogging up our minds, we can begin the process of clearing out the junk to make way for the new and healthier ways of thinking. Think of this as a sort of mental spring cleaning. And number 7, reprogram. Once we begin to clear out the junk of toxic self-talk and negative emotion, we have paved the way to begin replacing the old patterns of thought with brand new dialogue full of positivity and self-value. And number 8, fake it till you make it. There's a lot to be said for this old trick that can work like a charm when we are just getting started and feel like we need a push. Pull your shoulders back, hold yourself in a confident posture, and make good eye contact. Just remember that we can learn to become comfortable feeling uncomfortable while we adjust, and that people are not mind readers. It can feel like it sometimes, but they are not reading your mind. They can't see what you are telling yourself. Okay, number 9 has to do with learning to set good boundaries, or maybe in a place where you've begun and then you want to improve your boundary setting skill set. So once you can consistently set appropriate boundaries without hesitation or guilt, congratulate yourself as you have earned your black belt in worthiness. Good boundary setters know their value. Doing a happy dance to celebrate this huge success is very okay. And number 10, surround yourself with really good people. People who value themselves tend to hang around others who do the same. Authenticity attracts authenticity. This also means that you may need to weed the garden a bit as far as detaching from or spending less time with those who may not bring growth or joy to you anymore. And then lastly, here we go. Keep yourself filled up. This is our number 1 job. We need to keep our cups filled and overflowing. What is inside is for us. Whatever overflows is for everybody else. And just like anything else, where we invest our energy is where we improve. There is no such thing as the worthiness fairy who springs self-value dust on us. We must put effort in each day as we inevitably improve our practice. Worthiness is no different. Okay, this is Kimberly Quinn signing off from the Wave Podcast. Have a mindful day.